Hey guys, what is up? Tominator here. So we're going to take a look at the 2019 Arnold Classic. This is the top two call out for the prejudging in the Classic Physique division. So on the left we got Steve Lorius, on the right we got George Peterson. In case you haven't heard by now, Peterson won the show. Steve Lorius came in second. And I really kind of got mixed emotions about this one, guys, because on the one hand, I can totally understand why Peterson won. I mean, he was the bigger bodybuilder. Let's let them get into this front double bicep and you'll see exactly what I mean. Becomes clear as day that Peterson is just murking this kid size-wise. In terms of the muscularity, the thickness, he's absolutely trouncing him. And they're both pretty much on par in terms of the conditioning. So going by traditional bodybuilding criteria of mass plus conditioning, which seems to be what the judges value most, Peterson is the obvious winner. I mean, he wins this, no discussion. There can't even be a debate here. But this is classic physique, is it not? So, I mean, they introduced this new division just, 3 years ago? And I guess the idea was to kind of streamline the midsections a little more because things were getting out of whack there in the open class when it came to that. But is that really all that they aim to do with this new division? To me, that seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. If you're going to call it classic physique, should these guys not resemble the actual classic physiques of the old school era? You know, the Arnolds and the Zanes, the new Brays, even the Lee Haneys, etc. Because if we're just going to judge it exactly by regular bodybuilding criteria, then really the only difference here between this and open class is the weight cap, fewer poses, and standardized trunks, and that's about it. So to me, it seems like a missed opportunity. I argued this after the Olympia, and it kind of got a lot of mixed reception that they should kind of weigh things like aesthetics and shape and just, pleasing lines and stuff like that more heavily in this division instead of just giving it to the guy who's the most developed with the best condition. So, possibly an unpopular opinion there, but I know a lot of you guys agree with that as well because I've seen a lot of comments basically saying the same thing, that Peterson looked great, but he's not really classic. And I would agree with that. I think both these guys have tremendous physiques. I'd like to look like either one of them. But if you give me a choice as to who I'd rather look like what Arnold presented the judges with that question a couple years ago, it's Steve Lorius, hands down. I'd easily take that physique over Peterson's. I just think it's a cleaner physique. I think it's more appealing to the average person, to the casual fan. And he's not really facing head on, so it makes him look even narrower here. By the way, I'm not really going to go through this pose by pose in the usual fashion because it all depends on which lens you're judging this through. If you're looking at it, like I said, in terms of regular bodybuilding, Peterson wins every single pose. But if you're viewing it more in terms of whose physique you'd rather look like and all that, then Lorius probably wins every pose. So there's really not much point in calling this shot for shot because it all depends on your personal viewpoint. It's so subjective. This is a classic case of apples and oranges because we have two bodybuilders both on top of their respective games in terms of the conditioning and all that. Like, these guys both brought it. So it really comes down to subjectively, which body do you prefer? Which direction do the judges want to take this new division in? And they seem to be leaning more towards, the more massive and fully developed guys like the Breon Ansleys, like the Danny Hesters, like the George Petersons, as opposed to the kind of greener and less developed, but maybe more aesthetic guys like the Bumsteads and the Steve Loriuses, the Wesley Vissers. So I'm not sure that that's really the right call, because I think personally that highly aesthetic physiques like Lorius is here deserve to be rewarded. And one other thing, just to play devil's advocate even more, I think that Lorius actually had the best polish of any of these guys, at least in the top four, because he's the only one who seemed to apply enough posing oil to his physique, and that's why you can see the lights kind of reflecting off of his muscles more, highlighting them, giving him more of that 3D effect, you might say. Whereas someone like Peterson, even in the back pose here, which he should be absolutely smoking everyone in, I just don't really see that. I don't see that same kind of detail. Even his back just looks a little bit dull. It looks a little on the flat side, and maybe he was a little flat here at prejudging, but you know what I mean, guys. My eyes keep going back to Lorius because his muscles just kind of pop out at you more. And when we go downstairs, it's close there too, because On the one hand, Peterson has slightly better glutes, and it might just be because they extend further down. You can notice them more, but he's definitely super tight. But Laureus, you can see a lot more definition in his hamstrings, those grooves going up and down, whereas Peterson doesn't really have that. So you can't really say that Peterson was outright more conditioned than Laureus. I would say they're pretty much equal on that front. It just kind of comes down to what type of conditioning they have, because Peterson's an older athlete. He's got more contests under his belt, more experience, so he's got more of a muscle maturity factor. He's going to look a little grainier, whereas Laureus is a newer bodybuilder, and that's going to show in the maturity of his physique. He's not going to have that same degree of graininess that a guy like Peterson or Breon Ansley, had he competed here, would demonstrate. So yeah, let's move on. You know, don't get me wrong here, guys. I totally understand why Peterson won, and I think that it's not really controversial. I think that he deserved it, but like I said, I don't know. I just, that's not personally the way that I would choose to steer this new direction if I was a judge. I know some of you guys are gonna pipe up in the comments being, well, good thing you're not a judge. You suck. Yeah, I've heard it all before, guys. Thanks. Why do you watch me? So look at this in the classic pose here. Actually, I think Laureus hits this one from a better angle in a moment. Yeah, he kind of leans back a little bit more. I love this shot from him. Look at all the detail there in the side leg. I really can't believe he did this. I didn't think that he would be able to nail it like this, but he did. So kudos to him. So that's all for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the